Hey everyone, welcome to this month's NeQter Labs Town Hall on July 9th. Hope everyone had a great 4th of July. As some of you may have seen that we did end up taking off the week as a company, but we did have support and everyone necessary there. So we all had a good week, great weather, and we're ready to get back to it. So got quite a bit of things to tackle today on the webinar. We have a review of update 219 that came out last month. And we also are going to be taking a look at reviewing some of the things coming out in 219.1, which actually should be out next week sometime. A couple nice things in that we'll be reviewing. Also we've been getting quite a bit of questions and wanted to get people updated on some things in the ecosystem, specifically around NIST and CMMC, a little bit of what that looks like. And also be reviewing some upcoming shows that we're going to be doing. We have a few shows in a tight window, 2-3 week window that's coming up. And then, of course, any Q&A that anyone wants to do regarding the updates, NIST, CMMC, the platform, we'll look to tackle that as well. So just to kind of rehash a bit of what we had going on in 219.0, there's a couple new report types that we layered in to the reports tool that we've been giving quite a bit of attention to. The first report that we added was a detailed vulnerability report. And essentially, this is a duplication of all of the information that you can grab out of the vulnerability scan tool directly. Of course, it has its own reports. Our main goal with this report system and with the rest of the year is to have as much information that we can structure and take out of the platform, have a recurring report. So you're not having to jump around to, different areas of the tool to achieve the same purpose. So all of the applications and host information and services information that you can previously get only out of the vulnerability scanner, you can get with this new detailed vulnerability report. So it's in Excel. Everything's broken out, tabbed at the bottom, and we're going to be able to, click across the different Excel tabs so that we can look at the different information, host information, applications, services. So we can see that in that report. It can be an on-demand report, and you can also set it up to be scheduled. One of the things that we did as well was nice little enhancement to the compliance tool is the ability to add owners to the tasks. So now you can make a task under each assessment objective, add an owner to it. And because we're able to add an owner to that task, we have now added that into the compliance task report, where one of the things that you can modify when you generate the report, and of course, if you set up a scheduled report or if you go in and do an on-demand, you can say, you know what, I just want to see the tasks assigned to this user, or I only want to see, or I can see all tasks assigned to all users. So it allows you that flexibility to have some more accountability, assign things to people, but then also filter the data out that way, receive that report just for that person, or more manager type can receive all of the different information for all the different tasks. It is specific to each SSP. So if you have multiple system security plans, you'll have to set up multiple reports, but a lot of people just have a singular plan. And another report that we added for compliance is a change report. So instead of just having that information localized in the change log in the revisions area, we can see anytime anything gets touched or added or updated or removed in the system security plan, we can grab that data, have that in a nice formatted HTML report. So once a week, you can see, okay, who changed what, when, what was it before, what is it now? We can track all of that. So this is all, again, in 219. All of these reports have been requested by clients, by you, the customer. So please keep it up. Let us know, hey, I want to see this. Hey, I'd love to get this out of the tool. I don't want to have to log in and see this thing. I want to receive it once a week. I want you to tell me what's happening. So that's where all of those reports come from. And one of the things that we also added in the previous update was an integration with Prevail. We have quite a few clients who are utilizing Prevail for secure send, receive, and storage of CUI. So you'll now be able to pull logs out of Prevail directly right into NeQter. It is reliant upon having a SIM connector set up. That's how Prevail is doing it. Ordinarily, if you were trying to extract logs out of Prevail previously, you'd have to go into the admin console, export CSV of the logs. So there's no good way of automating that, of course. So they have their own. They built out a SIM connector, which can be spun up as a small light VM. If you needed to, you can go through them to for a service to pay for that, essentially that connector to get set up. So you're not utilizing your resources, but you are spending, money for a service for someone else to do that on your behalf. So either or, local VM or cloud, it's going to just be a syslog integration. So pushing from that connector into NeQter, and you're going to be able to see, much like you can see with other things, outcomes, severity levels, user actions, and admin events. So it gets the same treatment as everything else. Integration in, syslog in, dashboard, and then you can create alerts for that Prevail integration. So 219.0 is a small update, but quite a good few things in there. Same deal for the next one that's going to be coming out, 219.1, which I'll get into now. So for this upcoming update, 219.1, we have a vulnerability delta report. And this was asked quite a bit. And actually, again, this is something that is in the vulnerability scanner, OpenVAS, but it's kind of hidden. It's one of those things where you look right past it, unless you know it's there. You don't know it's there. So with this, what you're going to be able to do is track changes for between each task. So you specify, okay, I want to see my recurring monthly vulnerability scan. I only want to see, kind of what's changing month to month, what's new, what's stayed the same, what's been removed. So you're going to be able to see that by all hosts, individually the hosts, and then you can click through and see, okay, what showed up new, and it gives you the full vulnerability breakdown, much like the other vuln reports that are in there. You're also going to be able to see, of course, new, unchanged, and then mitigated or remove vulnerabilities. So that's something on demand, or you can schedule. So month to month, you can have a definitive, you can point to improve, hey, we remove these vulnerabilities. We are meeting compliance. So that's a new report that's going to be showing up in the ever-growing reports area. One additional thing that we have that we're going to be adding, this other report here, we're calling it a SPR scorecard. So there's that nice flyout in the, and again, this is just for NIST, But in the if you have an SSP, kind of have that little dial that tells you what your SPRS score is. You click on it, gives you that breakdown of, hey, here are your points, here's how you're doing, gives you that summary view. Well, now you can grab it in a report. So you're going to get a nice summary of each family. So 3-1, 3-2, 3-3. How many points am I losing per family? Summary of each control, the status, implementation status of that control, how many objectives are completed, and then how many points are lost. So at the top of the scorecard, it's going to tell you your score, how you're doing. It's also going to spell out, tell you which system security plan it's for. And then as you scroll down, it's going to tell you each family, all 110 controls. So you can kind of get a nice top-down view of how am I doing against SPRS. Of course, with the SPRS breakdown in the tool, you can click on the control and it will break down. It will show you each assessment objective. So that's more detailed and that's better off in the tool. This is just kind of that high level that you can, again, on demand it, or you can set up a recurring schedule report. So once a month, you can kind of see how you're doing against SPRS. That is the intent of this scorecard. So an additional thing that we've added, gotten a lot of requests for this, much like previously with Prevail, same deal with CrowdStrike. We have added CrowdStrike integration. It's going to be the same as Prevail. It's just how they do it, where it's going to be a syslog integration. It's going to also be reliant upon, they call it their Falcon SIM connector. It's going to be a connector VM. The nice thing with this is, a lot of different SaaS providers or cloud providers, they have an API, and it just has everything under the sun, a lot of noise. It's very, kind of clunky. With these SIM connector VMs that they build, they're themselves pre-parsing and filtering down that log set. So we're just seeing only the important stuff: outcomes, severity levels, actions, categories, users, and of course their source addresses as detected by the CrowdStrike agent. So we're seeing all of that information, pushing that into NeQter via syslog, new syslog input, and then we're going to be able to visualize it on a dedicated dashboard that we've built out. So CrowdStrike's in there now. If you use CrowdStrike for EDR, you're going to be able to grab those logs, push them into NeQter. So that's coming out 2.19.1, which should be upon us shortly. Should be next week or thereabouts. So that's everything NeQter related. I wanted to talk about a couple additional things when it comes to the ecosystem with NIST and with CMMC, because one of the tricky things with DoD is they don't do anything. Then they do a lot all at once. So it's easy to miss, what's happening. So wanted to touch upon a couple very important updates that have happened over the past 3 to 6 months or so. So one of the things that just happened as of last week, and one thing to point out real quick, if you're expecting the kind of the Jacob Horn treatment to these slides, it's not going to be like that. It's just going to be kind of just informational, no nice graphics, just straight information. So with this 32 CFR CMMC program rule update, so the 32 CFR, so that there's two parts of the rulemaking process. There's 32 CFR, which is, hey, here's the program's live, and then there's 48 CFR, which is DoD has the full ability to put these regulations into contracts. So they have the legal authority to put stuff into contracts. So that's kind of the enforcement mechanism directly from DoD. 32 is CMMC is recognized as a program. It's live. It can happen. People can get certifications. You can go, everything that they've been talking about, C3PAOs, assessing people, giving them certifications for level 1, level 2, that can happen and be officially recognized. So that's what this is. And this has been officially submitted as of last week to OIRA for final review. And OIRA has 90 to 120 days. This is really just kind of the last piece, the last step, so that they can basically put their blessing on it, have that go live. So the estimated window for publication of 32 CFR is late September, late October. So kind of within that 30, 40 day window. Once it's final or published, there's going to be, they always bake in those, this will go effective, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. So it's going to have 60 days or so where it will say, great, we've published, rollout begins, or this gets deployed in X amount of time. So the estimation is 60 days. So it's kind of a Christmas present, if you will, or January 2025, the CMMC program will go live. It won't be in contracts, but CMMC will be essentially effective. And kind of an update on the 48 CFR, this was submitted in May of 2024, and it's expected to be published in August, but because this is the, from a rulemaking standpoint, this is the regulation baking into contracts, there's a lot more review and other factors. So it might be a full, 12 months or so before it can be officially written into contracts. So what does this mean between 32 and 48? 32 means anyone who has a motivation to get someone compliant is going to start pushing that agenda. So a lot of estimation is a lot of primes, a lot of, those types of companies are going to push their supply chain to say, hey, great, CMMC is live, go get your cert. We want you certed up before this is written into contracts. So just even though with 48 could show up kind of towards the end of next year, CMMC is probably going to be market enforced starting in January. Then once it's written into contracts, then of course, you sign your name on the dotted line, it's in your contract, it's going to be fully enforced, and certification will be required. So that's kind of been some of the moving pieces with both of those things. But one of the things that has kind of gotten a bit of confusion started, and a lot of people missed the memo, literally, because DoD came out with a memo about this that kind of flew under the radar for a lot of people. Going back to what's in contracts right now, NIST, a lot of you might have seen that NIST Rev 3 or NIST 800-171 Rev 3, NIST said, hey, guess what? We got a new standard. Here you go. Have fun. That came out in May of 2024, or May 14th specifically, a couple months ago. And DoD knew this because they work in tandem with NIST, and they said, hey, NIST is going to do its thing, and they're going to come out with the new standard, new framework. We gotta keep moving progress forward. However, anyone who has 7012, you're doing Rev 2, because the issue before was how the clause was written. It used to say, in effect, instead of the version of NIST 800-171 in effect at the time solicitation is issued. So that was the verbiage before. It said, hey, whenever you get the solicitation, whenever revision of NIST, you got to do that one. So of course, past couple months, a lot of people panicking. oh my goodness, I just did Rev 2, or I just wrapped up Rev 2, looking to do CMMC. Now I got to do this whole thing, this Rev 3, which Rev 3 changes a lot. There's a lot of change with Rev 3. So in future, down the line, Rev 3 is gonna probably be rolled into, CMMC version 3 or whatever the next version of CMMC is. But as of right now, you just got to do Rev 2. You've been doing Rev 2. Keep going at it. DoD officially released a class deviation that said, don't worry about this. You're doing Rev 2, even though the latest version of 800.171 came out. So that's been a few questions that we've gotten, or, a couple questions on NeQter. Hey, you guys, putting Rev 3 of NIST 800.171 in the policy tool? Because we got that question a couple times, and my response was, we are going to plan on doing that. However, did you know, is your question based upon, did you know there's a class deviation where you just have to do Rev 2? And, oh, good, I just have to do Rev 2. So as Rev 3 as they talk about it more, as they start to kind of move that way, we will add that into the policy tool. So new framework will show up, say NIST Rev 3, same treatment as NIST and CMMC have right now in that tool. And I didn't include it in here because it's kind of too soon to believe anything's happening since it's been on ice for the past 6 years or so. But the FAR CUI rule that had been talked about in 2018 and kind of varied, poked up again and moved into OIRA for, or moved into OMB for a review, not OIRA, OMB. So that might be coming out in the next 12 to 18 months, FAR contracts with CMMC, which might be Rev 2, might be Rev 3. But I didn't include that in here just because it's very, very gray. Not that this is clear cut, but this is more clear cut than that. So wanted to talk about all of those things. If you guys have any questions on the on NeQter, of course, on anything I've just talked about with the rules, drop them in the chat. And just wanted to wrap up with a couple points on upcoming shows that we have. So Navy Gold Coast, we were there last year, had a good time. Previous year, the AC was broken, so we didn't have a good time. But it's always a great show. We try to get out there. It's at the San Diego Convention Center, August 19th through the 21st. So it's actually kind of like a Monday through a Wednesday. And great show. A lot of Navy contractors. Obviously, it's the Navy Gold Coast. It's a small business procurement show. So we always try to get out there. It's always a good time. So we'll be there. I will be there. Should have Levi there with me. And if you're in the area, or if you're based in Cali, or you're going to be heading out there, please stop by our booth. Additionally, I just had to include this. This was the guy I was able to get with Carl Del Toro, the Secretary of the Navy. This was it was a couple years ago, but he was there last year again. This is more of a local show to us. It's where we got our start. For those of you that know our story, a lot of us, myself included, started as interns through a government kind of a trade program, labor program. But Southeast New England Defense Industry Alliance, or SNIDIA, always puts on a Defense Innovation Day show in the Newport area, Newport, Rhode Island. So that's going to be the following week, August 26th to the 28th. So if you're in the Connecticut, Mass, Rhode Island area, please drop by. We'll get a drink. And another thing that we'll be doing, and I didn't include it in the slide. Now I realize I should, but this is in September, so we'll talk about it next town hall as well, or monthly webinar. The NDIA New England. So we did the NDIA kind of California. Now we're doing the NDIA New England. we do the show every year as well. It's basically the NDIA New England cybersecurity event. It's very heavy cyber focused. Last year we did it at Gillette Stadium. And so I'm actually on the board of NDIA New England. So I've been coordinating a lot of the sponsorships and a lot of stuff for the show. But this year, focus is going to be on government enforcement, AI, a lot of the fan favorites as well, to rulemaking, and as well as upcoming threats and securing small business and all that stuff there. So it's going to be at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Mass, September 10th to Tuesday. And NeQter actually hosts an after party as well. So again, if you're in the Mass, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Connecticut, New York area, want to make your way up here, please go register and sign up for this. It's always a great show, and get a lot of great information. Actually, this time last year, we did it in May, and the NIST Rev 3 draft came out night before, and Jacob Horn was able to do a presentation on that announcement. So always a great show. Please drop by, say hi if you're going to attend. And that's so kind of a heavier presentation this month, at least. So we reviewed 2.19.0, which is out right now. 2.19.1 is coming out. A couple integrations, Prevail and CrowdStrike. A lot of great reports, 3-4 new reports that we've added. And then, of course, just a summarization of what's really been happening past 3 to 6 months with CMMC news. And lastly, a couple shows coming up that we're going to be in person at. So haven't seen any questions pop up, but obviously we'll wait a couple minutes if there's anything and everything, any questions on the platform, stuff coming out. I know I've hinted at version 3 of NeQter that we're steadily working on. Don't have a clear-cut drop date for that, but as I know more, you'll know more. I fill in the gaps on that. So, yeah. Any questions that anyone wants to talk about, wants me to review on my demo? All right, so it doesn't look like there's anything. We usually come out with a quarterly newsletter. We were off last week, wanted to give people a breather for the 4th, and actually are looking to come out with it tomorrow, so we can include the YouTube link of this webinar in that, and a lot of the things that I've talked about here is going to get summarized in that newsletter. So if you're looking forward to that, that's going to be coming out tomorrow. So haven't seen any questions come in. There's always someone that jumps in at the last second, thinks of something. But we'll look to wrap up for today. So hope everyone had a safe and happy 4th of July holiday weekend. And we will look to touch base again next first Tuesday of August. We pushed it again because of last week. So August 6th, Tuesday. See you again at 1 p.m. Eastern. Again, this is recorded and will get put up on our YouTube, which we'll send out shortly. So thanks everyone for attending, and look forward to seeing you next month.